I'm talking about Prompt 7.1, using books like The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, A Car Manual, H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, Foundation, The Expanse, Bone, and Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. The root in the rooted tree is the book, because all species have in common is that they are books. Remember, only x-axis matters because that is time or evolutionary change. The outgroup is the only book that is non-fictional, which is the Car Manual. It deviates from the rest of the books the earliest, so it has more time to change and evolve. It may have even been another kind of manual, such as a motorcycle or even a boat manual. How it moved from being a motorcycle manual to a car manual without splitting into two different species is called anagenesis, and it actually is very rare in nature. OTUs are how much difference in DNA two species would have. The greater the number, the more distant the species is. This species has a relatively high OTU, while in the fictional descendant much more happened. The first mutation that happened in the fictional organism was the divergence between the printed books and the graphic novels. This is called cladogenesis, or the divergence of two different species from the same progenitor. The graphic novel is an internal node. It is the most recent common ancestor of Nausicaa and Bone. In fact, any common ancestors between species is an internal node, simply because they are not a species that exists now. The next mutation is in the printed book. One species that came out of that is fantasy, while the other is science fiction. Fantasy split into two species called The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit, or The Lord of the Rings, is not an internal node because it does not have any descendant species. Along the science fiction route, it is split off into two species yet again, this time in time periods of when the work was written, either the turn of the century or later than World War I. The later than World War I branch also split off into The Expanse and the Foundation. The turn of the 20th century split off one last time into H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. The Expanse Foundation and Wells-Verne branches have the lowest OTUs because they diverged from their common ancestor most recently, so they did not have time to deviate much from each other. In fact, OTUs are so proportional in respect to time that they are sometimes called molecular clocks. Here are my citations.